This is macOS Ken.
Dealing with
RAMnarök.
Tata's data breach leaves Apple concerned. An Apple security race against artificial intelligence. It is Tuesday, the 30th of June, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by NordLayer, a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. This show is also sponsored by Copilot Money. Your money beautifully organized. Think about how we used to track spending. Ledgers, records in the back of a checkbook. You didn't just have to remember to write everything down, you had to do math. Then wait until somebody sent you something weeks later so you could do math again. Welcome to the 21st century and Copilot Money. Copilot Money lets you keep track of all of your spending, from recurring charges to one-off shopping trips to that coffee you charged. Copilot Money tracks money coming in, money going out, where you stand on financial goals, and how your investments are performing. All of that in one beautiful app for iPhone, iPad, and the Mac, or through their full-featured web experience. And all with your privacy in mind. With Copilot Money, there are no ads, no upsells, and your info is never sold. Right now you can get 2 months free with code macOSken at copilot.money/macOSken. Recognized by Apple as a must-have finance app and as a smart way to save money, you can try it for no money with a 2-month free trial with offer code macOSken at copilot.money/macOSken. Copilot Money. Your money beautifully organized. Try 2 months free with offer code macOSken at copilot.money/macOSken. So Apple is looking for permission to do something that it is allowed to do, but knows it'll get in trouble for if it does do it. The Financial Times ran a piece over the weekend that had the Cupertino company lobbying the Trump administration for clearance to buy memory chips from CXMT, a Chinese company that the Pentagon has put on a blacklist because of alleged connections to the People's Liberation Army. That is according to 6 people said to know something about something, sharing what they say they know with the Financial Times. The piece says Apple is not barred from buying chips from CXMT or YMTC, another Chinese memory chip maker, but the Pentagon has put both companies on its Chinese military company blacklist. The so-called 1260H list contains dozens of Chinese groups with alleged ties to the People's Liberation Army that undermine U.S. national security. What I wish somebody would do is illustrate those ties, the ties between CXMT and the People's Liberation Army. If the worry is a kill switch or some sort of spying something or other, that is bad. If the worry is money going to the People's Liberation Army, that's not great, but seriously, this is where America 2026 is likely to draw the line. I saw a headline that asked why Apple would want to do this. Didn't bother to read that article, though I hope the question was rhetorical. Still, the Financial Times points out that getting CXMT as a memory supplier would help remedy a situation in which Apple is being squeezed by its own suppliers. Sounds kinky, isn't. Most of the people with whom the paper spoke said it was unclear if Apple would get any guarantee from the administration, especially a promise that the U.S. would not later put CXMT on the entity list. Given the capricious nature of this administration, though, I wonder why Apple would take any guarantee as a guarantee. Get past the White House and Apple still got Congress with which to deal. John Moolenaar, the Republican chair of the House China Committee, told the Financial Times, Apple choosing to partner with a Chinese military company would be a grave mistake. Helping the Chinese Communist Party succeed in its plans to dominate critical supply chains will make our country's tech industry and economy more dependent on China at a time when we must build secure tech supply chains with our allies. He's not alone, but you get the idea. Apple declined to comment, according to the Financial Times. Meanwhile, the White House did not respond to a request for comment. South Korean chip makers Samsung and SK Hynix are using money to fight
RAMnarök.
Eventually. TechCrunch says the two plan to invest $518 billion US to build 4 new memory fabs in southwestern South Korea, a region that has historically attracted little semiconductor investment. The plan is part of a bigger package that includes $52 billion for a high-bandwidth memory packaging hub and $356 billion for AI data centers. In a televised address, South Korean President Jae Myung-lee said that semiconductors, physical AI, and AI data centers, physical AI? All right. Semiconductors, physical AI, and AI data centers are the triple axis for South Korea's next industrial era. Noting that existing semiconductor plants have already reached their limits, the president is said to have called this year the year for South Korea to make itself an irreplaceable industrial power. Hey, any chance the memory shortage is engineered, anti-competitive, skullduggery perhaps? A new lawsuit's trying to make that case. Investors Business Daily ran a piece Monday on a class action suit that was filed late last week. It accuses Micron, Samsung Electronics, and SK Hynix of colluding to raise prices on dynamic random access memory, or DRAM, chips. According to the report, the lawsuit alleges that Micron, Samsung, and SK Hynix simultaneously cut production, coordinated a pivot to high-bandwidth memory, an exit from DDR3 and DDR4, and otherwise decreased and locked up conventional DRAM supply while prices charged up with mind-blowing scale and rapidity. The suit points out that Micron closed its consumer DRAM business, which further squeezed the available supply for PCs and consumer devices. For its part, Micron says it did nothing wrong. In a statement run by Investors Business Daily, the chipmaker said Micron disagrees with the allegations contained in the complaint. We compete vigorously, fairly, and in compliance with all applicable laws wherever we do business. We will defend ourselves against these claims. Remember the Tata data trouble I told you about last week? TechCrunch ran a piece that had Apple's manufacturing partner confirming a data breach, one that seemed to have let bad guys swipe Apple supplier specifications. That's starting to look sort of serious for the Cupertino company. Mac Rumors highlights a Reuters report that says Apple is concerned about the data leak. According to the piece, Reuters says that at least 6 files show hundreds of iPhone 18 Pro components, including details of chips on the main circuit board and battery and camera components. The leaked files have confidential Apple watermarks and Apple code names for the iPhone 18 Pro models, along with images of the iPhones during drop tests. As for what they look like, kind of like an iPhone. Reuters describes it as a slab-shaped gray handset with a 3 rear camera setup and an Apple logo. You know, sort of like an iPhone. While Tata's become a bigger part of Apple's supply chain, making some components and assembling some iPhones and other devices, Reuters suggests that the data loss could jeopardize the relationship between the two companies. Personally, I doubt that for a couple of reasons. First of all, how many more contract manufacturing giants are out there? And second, Apple seems to be helping Tata shore up its defenses. The Cupertino company is said to be investigating the incident and working with Tata on long-term measures to improve security. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, NordLayer, a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. There is so much to like about NordLayer. Start with the fact that they work to protect your business. You seriously gotta like that. And the ways it protects, including access control, making sure only people who should access your systems can, threat protection, keeping malware and phishing attempts at bay, and a business edition of the VPN that made Nord a name you trust. It works with the equipment that's already powering your business. That's another thing to like. And all of it at prices you might even love. NordLayer starts at just $8 per user per month. They have special pricing for teams of 100 people or more, and a special offer for macOS Ken listeners. Get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with offer code macOS Ken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOS Ken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. Apple issued security fixes for iPhones, iPads, and Macs running its latest operating systems on Monday. According to Apple's release notes, according to Mac Rumors, iOS and iPadOS 26.5.2 include security fixes for iPhone and iPad. A decent amount of them as well. Looks to be between 25 and 30 by my count. Same goes for macOS 26.5.2 according to another piece from Mac Rumors. The latest Tahoe build includes security fixes for the Mac, roughly the same number of fixes as well. Also making its way to the world is a group of blankOS 26.6 betas. Mac Rumors ran pieces Monday that had the Cupertino company seeding the third developer betas of iOS and iPadOS 26.6, as well as 26.6 versions of macOS Tahoe, watchOS, tvOS, and visionOS. Interestingly, Monday's 26.5.2 fixes were apparently originally set for the approaching 26.6 updates. Another piece from Mac Rumors has Apple indicating that the updates were outed early because technology is moving just so darn fast these days, specifically artificial intelligence. Mac Rumors highlights a Reuters report that has Apple telling it that it was adapting to the reality that, given the ability of artificial intelligence to speed the development of malicious hacking tools, it needed to reduce the time between when updates were first made public and when they were put into customers' hands. Tell me we're without telling me we're. If you're looking for good news, Mac Rumor says Apple told Reuters that there was no evidence any of the now-patched vulnerabilities had been taken advantage of. Apple said the time between when the security fixes were announced and when they were deployed needed to be compressed, but did not say which vulnerabilities drove the urgency. I'm sorry, doesn't it sound like all of them from now on? I'm not sure whether these next two are in lockstep with blankOS 26.6, blankOS 27, or just hanging out there on their own. 9to5Mac says Apple on Monday seeded third release candidates for macOS Sonoma 14.8.8 and macOS Sequoia 15.7.8, again to developers, I believe. Apple's notes say the updates provide important security fixes and are recommended for all users. So should people be nervous that they can't get those yet? Congratulations to the team behind Apple Design Award winner Play. not for winning the award. They did that over a year ago. No, this congratulations is for whatever weird deal they've entered into with Apple, which I'm assuming is a good thing for them. Apple Insider says the Cupertino company has entered into an agreement with Rabbit 3 times. They're the ones that built the Play app, which, funny enough, is not a game. According to its 2025 Apple Design Awards win, the app was described as a sophisticated yet accessible tool that lets users build interactive prototypes with Swift UI frameworks. Its thoughtfully crafted user interface is both powerful and easy to navigate, helping designers create interactive prototypes and collaborate across Mac and iPhone, all synced in real time for seamless creativity. Rather than an outright acquisition, Apple Insider says the deal reportedly sees Apple acquiring assets and having the option to hire certain staff. The cynical part of me says this sounds less like building Rabbit 3 times up than stripping it for parts, but you know what? I would really like the cynical part of me to take a powder. 50-something years later, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd like it. We only know about the deal because of regulations in the EU that force acquisitions of certain size or import to be made public. Still, there were signs, like Rabbit 3 times winning the Design Award last June, then announcing cessation of its iPhone and Mac apps the following April. Apple Insider thinks Play returning in Apple Creator Studio is a possibility. Or maybe Apple simply wants to add Rabbit 3 times biological and technological distinctiveness to its own. And finally today, folks who hang around Apple Arcade, on your mark, it's time to start the Family Feud. Earlier this month, Apple previewed Family Feud Pocket. The company says the title brings the revered game show an authentic, true-to-show trivia experience to Apple Arcade. Hosted by the iconic Steve Harvey, the game features the classic mechanics fans know and love, along with daily challenges and exclusive questions. Play with friends, play with family, play by yourself. No ads, no upsells, no IAP. Family Feud Pocket hits Apple Arcade today. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Copilot Money. Get 2 months free with code macOS Ken at copilot.money/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by NordLayer. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macOSKen.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
I'm invisible!